Since when did finishing a YouTube walkthrough give you the right to review a game? Seriously, I feel like I'm losing my mind scrolling through my feed lately. I'm seeing massive threads debating game design, mechanics, and ranking lists, only to find out the person writing them hasn't touched a controller. They're just watching long-form walkthroughs from creators like the Rad Brad. I don't know about you guys, but video games are meant to be played, not watched. It's not a movie or a Netflix show. A huge part of the medium is the physical feedback. Watching a hard game or a horror game completely removes the tension. You aren't the one panicking over resource management, and you didn't spend 3 hours getting your teeth kicked in by a boss. Watching a streamer clear a room smoothly gives you zero concept of what the actual gameplay loop feels like. Don't get me wrong, I totally get the other side of it. Games are expensive, hardware is absurdly priced, and adult life means nobody has the time to grind through every single major release. If you want to put a walkthrough on in the background while you fold laundry or work, go for it. I literally do not care. But I do care when I see you trying to review the game, debate people who actually played it, or give it a definitive score. Like, come on, you didn't experience the game. That's it.
Welcome, players, to the next level. Here on the Batmandrew podcast, we believe that life is an immersive experience, best lived one campaign at a time. Every week, we load up a new save file and dive deep into the most interesting worlds across video games, movies, and all things fandom, all brought from the perspective of just an everyday regular dude like me. Today's mission is locked and loaded and ready for launch, so grab your controllers and remember, your campaign starts now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Batmandrew podcast. And on today's episode, we're talking about whether or not you have the right to review a video game that you've never played. So you saw that video that we just aired right before the intro of this podcast. And that's a pretty strong take. And I think some of you might agree with it. Some of you may not. But I kind of want to dive into it a little bit because I do have some thoughts. First, we're going to load up the loading screen, however, right? And we're just going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of, movies, pop culture, hell, what's going on in my world as a content creator, right? So, right now, I am currently testing a microphone. I am using a, see if I can pronounce this right, Mayano brand microphone. I found this one online. It was like, I don't know, it's like $60. I just really needed a good little travel mic because like doing this podcast, I want to be able to still record while I'm traveling. And I needed something of pretty decent quality. This one had good reviews. It was pretty affordable. So I decided, instead of me packing it all up and trying it out for the first time on the road, I am using it at home in my office just to see how good or bad the quality is. So, I don't know. Hopefully it's going to come out good. Hopefully you guys can hear my voice well. There's not a lot of background noise and stuff like that, but, I don't know. We'll see. And whenever I go to edit this and cut this episode together. Aside from that, we are like a week and a half, 2 weeks away from the release of Spider-Man Brand New Day. And I'm pretty excited for it. I'm not going to lie. I think this movie, this iteration that we're getting of Spider-Man is going to be the most accurate Spider-Man we've gotten, just in regards to, because everything leading up to this made him Spider-Man, made Spider-Man kind of the Iron Man Jr., right? Like I feel like now we're actually getting into like who Spider-Man is, and we're going to be able to really, hopefully anyway, is going to be able to get a Spider-Man that's attached to the MCU, but detached from, having to, I don't know, rely on Tony Stark tech and all that kind of stuff. I want that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, right? And I'm hoping that we get this with Brand New Day. It looks really good, and I'm excited for it. Aside from that, a lot of people are gearing up to get ready to go to San Diego Comic-Con. And I got to tell you, if you're getting ready to go to San Diego Comic-Con, I want you to have a fantastic time. 2, fuck you, because I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con. It's on my bucket list. I want to go. I hope you have a great time. I really do. We're getting ready to go at the end of the month to Bell County Comic-Con. Just a little bit smaller in scale. Just a tad. It's in southern Texas, in Belton, Texas, actually. But you know what? Like, we went last year for the first time. Scarlett got invited to go do some cosplay down there, and you know, we didn't know really what to expect, so we went ahead and packed up our bags and headed down there to Belton, Texas from, you know, making our way from Oklahoma City, and we had a really good time. It's a really good con, and so, I don't know how many of people out here are listening to this podcast that are from Southern Texas, but if you're from Southern Texas or around the area, Bell County Con, August 1st and 2nd, definitely a go-to con, worth the price of admission. And so I would still love to be able to go to San Diego Comic Con one day, though. I got to tell you, really hoping to be able to knock that off my bucket list. Aside from that, Materia Junction podcast going on. We just recorded episode number 4, so we're excited to be able to drop that. I also recorded a Final Fantasy X special because the 20th, I believe it is the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy X. So that's pretty fun and exciting. And yeah, I'm just having a good time creating content on social media. I don't know, like I mean, it must be my first day on the internet because I guess I didn't realize how trolly people get on the internet. Had some idiots make their way into my comment section on several of my videos. And I gotta tell you, like, it's really hard for me not to fuck with people. It really is. You know, like I just, to me, it's amazing the amount of stuff people are willing to say on the internet that they would never say to my face. For people who have never seen me, who might just be listening to the audio only version of this podcast and never actually seen my physical appearance, I am 6'2", 350 pounds. I'm a big man. Um, and there is no way in the fucking world any of these people would say what they're saying to me on the internet to my face. And that makes me laugh. I'm not gonna lie, kind of comical a little bit in my opinion. So, you know, listen, like, life is too short for people to hate on the things that you love. And the way I look at it is the more that they are on my page, shitting on my content, writing nasty comments in my comment section, the less they're out there doing it to other people. So on that instance, I'm totally on board with all the trolling. Come at me, bro. But kind of finishing up the loading screen again, a viral TikTok kind of went out and it kind of claimed that if you hadn't physically played a video game for yourself, you have zero right or ability to review that video game. They argue that if you only watch the full playthrough on on YouTube or on stream, your critique is completely discredited. And on the surface, sure, like, I get it. Like, there are technical elements that you can't speak on. But overall, I think that this is a pretty silly elitist double standard that completely falls apart when you kind of compare it to really literally any other piece of media today. So if, for example, if if I say that you can't review a video game that you've never played, I do believe that there are certain aspects of that video game that are difficult in order to be able to articulate a review on if you've never experienced it, right? But I also think there are other elements of that video game that you can very much well have a critique on. And it all comes down to your transparency of your review. If I am like me, I don't read. I don't read at all. I hate reading. I suck at it. I don't like to read. I listen to audiobooks a lot, and that's how I consume my reading. Am I not allowed to review a book that I've listened on audio review that I haven't actually read because I didn't read it myself? Like, is my opinion of that content any more or less relevant or creditable because I didn't actually physically read the book that I listened to on audiobook? And there might be a lot of people out there who think that. I don't, right? Like, actually, so the one thing I will say is that the one thing I can't do for a book. So we'll use Project Hail Mary, for example. Project Hail Mary is my favorite book of all time. I think it's a fantastic book. I loved it. I was super excited for the movie. I love the movie. But with Project Hail Mary, I listened to the audiobook. I didn't read it. And listening to the audiobook, I am listening to one individual's interpretation on how they're performing the voices and how they read the lines and things like that, right? where the one thing it does take away when you're listening to an audiobook is kind of that sense of imagination and world building, right? Like, so I understand that there are elements of Project Hail Mary that I couldn't review and talk about because, I didn't actually physically read it myself. But that's a small portion of a review that I can't speak to. And so there was plenty that I had to be able to review when talking about Project Hail Mary. And so I think honestly, the concept and the mindset that you have to be able to play a video game before you can review it, I think has a little bit of a double standard there, right? And so when you think about other things like, right, if with the audio versus reading portion of it, if you're blind, are you not allowed to have a critique or a review of a book that you listen on audiobook? Like, if you wait for a movie to hit home streaming instead of going to go see it in the theater, is that review really valid? Is your opinion really valid on that movie because you watched it at home and not the way it was meant to be on theatrical release? The reality is that the vehicle of consumption doesn't erase the narrative experience, right? Saying that you must physically hold the controller to understand that piece of media is in my opinion entirely flawed logic. Again, I understand there are things about, like, you're never going to be able to talk about the mechanics of a video game without actually having played that video game. So a good example of this is Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 13 has one of the best storylines for one of the worst mechanics in any video games I've ever played. The mechanics in Final Fantasy 13 are abysmal, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But if you're watching someone stream that game, you're not going to be able to understand the difficulty of trying to navigate that mechanic because you've never played it. But you're very much valid to have an opinion on the story and the characters and things like that. And I would argue for someone who spends 10 consecutive hours watching a playthrough and cutscenes of a video game, might actually have a better structure and understanding and review of the narrative story than someone who played the video game for 50 plus hours because they're sitting there in one chunk catching the whole story. Well, there's plenty of times I go to review a video game and I forget that what happens in the first third of it because I spent 60 hours in the middle of it doing side quests and everything like that for the story. So honestly, I think that when you have a take like that, and this is no knock on the content creator who made this video. I mean, I don't know who the fuck he is, and he's entitled to have his opinion, but I'm also entitled to think that it's wrong. And I think that as long as the reviewer has an honest review to it, I think there's honestly a little bit of a niche here that they could hit. If you are reviewing video games, and especially video game stories from um from a standpoint of someone who hasn't played the games, there's a lot of people who do that. In fact, I mean, it's been an argument made that the video game industry is losing money because people would much rather watch a playthrough of a video game than actually go through the physical play of a video game. And so I think anything that gatekeeps people from being able to have an opinion and enjoy the content is silly, especially right now with the whole world arguing about the price of video games and going all digital. Like, I had this fucking dumbass on my Instagram wanting to argue back and forth with me and saying that I was killing the gaming industry by saying that it's really not a big deal that Sony isn't making physical media anymore. Well, listen, we're gonna have a whole podcast episode with that. I'm actually thinking about lining up a guest for it, be able to have a good conversation about this. I'm not gonna go into it right now. I just think that there are pros and cons to both sides of the argument, but I think that we're arguing the wrong argument if I'm being honest. But with all that being said, I think transparency is everything. Quit gatekeeping. If the reviewer just makes it clear that their review of the game comes from a perspective of someone who hasn't played the game, I think that that's okay. I think that they should say, "Hey, I didn't touch the controller on this one. I experienced it via full playthrough. So, we're focused entirely on story, character, and art direction." I think that that's okay. I also think that they should credit the person who they watched the playthrough for, though. Because I don't like, when I'm doing these videos, these podcast episodes, and I have a video playing beforehand, I make sure that video has their user handle. So if someone wants to be able to go watch that content or follow that follower, that they have the opportunity to. I'm not going to ever cut that out. So I think that they should credit whoever they're watching that playthrough for in their review. But I do think there's a little bit of a niche there to be had. I think that the gatekeepers assume that every person watching a review wants to buy the software, and I think they miss the massive growing niche of viewers who only watch streams. I also think that there's an audience out there that just wants to know, is the storyline, is the character development of the game any good? Is it good enough to justify watching a 20-hour Let's Play series through? A narrative focused review serves the demographic perfectly. I really do believe that. And I think that saying that someone's, like discrediting, their review, or saying that they're not allowed to be able to have an opinion of a game because they actually haven't physically played the game, I think is a little gatekeepy, if I'm being honest. So, but here's what I think the biggest question is, right? Is like, when it comes to cinematic games, aren't they really just more interactive movies? Like, when you look at a AAA title, sure, not all AAA titles are the same, right? I get it. Like Grand Theft Auto 6, when that comes out, you're gonna need to really play that to get a full appreciation of the game, because no one's playing Grand Theft Auto 6 for its storyline. Like, we're not. Like, Grand Theft Auto 5, I thought, had the best storyline of any Grand Theft Auto game. I loved the different layers of the characters and stuff like that. I've only played that game through twice. I go play Grand Theft Auto for all the shit I can destroy and all the things that I can do in that game, right? No one's like, we appreciate the story, we want a good storyline, but we play it for the open world and the ability to be able to have that freedom, right? Where other games like, The Last of Us, for example, I play for the cinematic, narrative experience to it. So in the modern gaming landscape, I do believe that titles are more cinematic than they've ever have been before. And so while watching a stream in a streamer, that they can't actually articulate the physical combat loops of a game, or maybe the input lag or mechanics, I do think you can absolutely judge the script, the pacing, and the emotional weight and character arcs of a game. I don't think I mean, because again, some of these games are like watching interactive movies. They really are, especially when you talk about games like Detroit Become Human, for example. That is a very cinematic experience that allows you to be able to have multiple layers of interactiveness, and being able to decide which direction you want to go, and how you want to answer things, how do you want to respond to things. And I think if you are someone who's watching a full playthrough of that game online, the nice part about it is that I'm sure there are people out there who have played that through several different times, so you get to experience different answers and different, story beats that story can give based off, choosing something different without having to play that through 19 different times. And it allows you to be able to have a perspective on that game that I think other people might miss. And so, honestly, at the end of the day, the verdict is pretty simple for me. Stop letting rigid gatekeepers tell you how to criticize art. Art is subjective. Like, people should be allowed to have their opinions without other people shitting on them. For this individual who thinks that, no, you can't review a video game unless you've ever played a video game, I'm telling you that I disagree with you, but I'm not attacking you personally. I don't even fucking know you, right? Like, that's the part, like, and I know, again, it's my first day on the internet. I get it. Like, toxic fandom is out there. I totally understand that. I understand that people are, quite frankly, idiots, right? Like this guy on Instagram that I was just talking about, who was arguing back and forth with me. I think it drove him crazy that I wouldn't stoop to name calling. Like, he called me a dumbass like 10 times. I mean, he's exaggerating. It wasn't that many times, but he called me a dumbass several times. Some of these people who are leaving nasty comments on my Supergirl review, like, it's funny because I posted a Supergirl review saying that I didn't really like the movie. I said I think Millie Alcott did great, but I overall I think the movie was bad. And I had people come at me who were like, "The movie was amazing. You're an idiot. You're a Snyder bro. Like, you're a shill. Like, the movie was absolutely amazing. Da 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 da. Like, we loved it. Fuck you for not liking it." And then I had other people when I was like, "Hey, I just posted a short. It was like, Millie Alcott was an inspired choice to play Supergirl. She was great. I really liked her." Then I had people, not knowing the full review, coming at me saying how idiotic I was and how like they were leaving like memes of her looking like a caveman and stuff like this, and then attacking me personally about what my viewpoints were for the for the movie. And I just think, like, why? Where is that place in fandom that says we can't disagree about something? It doesn't have to be one way or the other. So, bottom line, if you are out there and you are wanting to review anything, a book, a movie, a video game, don't let anybody tell you how to review your shit. Go out there, make the best content you can, enjoy the experience, and talk about the things that you love. That's what we need. What we don't need is content creators who only talk about the shit that they hate. To me, that's a negative energy that we don't need. Talk about also the things that you love. You don't have to love everything. You can talk about the things you don't like. I didn't like Supergirl. I talked about it. I liked Melly Outcott about playing Supergirl. I talked about it. Don't let other people decide how you view the content you love or dislike. Like just speak how you feel. And for the fucking trolls that are out there that all they want to do is shit on the things that people love, I just really got one thing to say to you. Fuck off. Like, that's all I got to tell you. That's all I got to tell you. All right, guys, that's the end of this episode. Here's what I have for you. I want to know. I want to hear from you. Have you ever skipped buying a game, but watched the entire story out on YouTube or maybe on Twitch? And do you think that those viewers have a right to talk about the story? Or do you think that you think that you side with the gatekeepers a little bit, and you don't think that their opinions are as valid? I'd love to be able to know your thoughts in the comments. Even though, again, I agree on the side that I think that they should be allowed to review it, that it doesn't discredit their views by any means. I understand why someone would have the other side of the argument and why their logic would say no, like they shouldn't, like they haven't played the game, they shouldn't do a review. I just disagree with it. I think that this guy, though, was just a little bit too extreme with it. It caught my attention. I want to be able to talk about it. So let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts? Remember, guys, to always like and subscribe, and more importantly, share, because, well, good friends share shitty podcasts with good friends, and that is what we are. We are a shitty podcast, so share it with your best friends. I want to tell you guys also, thank you for being here and listening to the episode today, because I know it's hard to make time for the things that we love. So the fact that you took time out of your day to listen to this episode truly means the world to me. And I just want to give a genuine thank you to you. I appreciate all that you guys do, all the interactions in the comments, even for the assholes that decide to leave negativity. It's all good. The more negativity you leave on my page, the less you're leaving on other people's pages. So keep it up, man. I appreciate it. Thank you guys again. I'll catch you guys again on the same Batmandrew time at the same Batmandrew channel. Thanks, guys.